Alright, let's go over it. This is going to be my first build guide for the game, Hellclock. You can see it does crazy amounts of DPS. This is going to be the Whirlwind Lightning God build that incorporates a lot of lightning damage in the build. Now, I want to go ahead and also mention that there's no builder website, so I'm going to have to do this all in-game right now. So I'm going to talk about the build for a brief moment while I have some gameplay that goes on, and then I'll show you guys the entirety of the build. And I'll go over the skills and kind of how we use them from left to right. So the first skill, which I have bound to X on my controller, that is basically the Whirlwind skill. We just hold it down the whole time. That's all you need to do with that skill. Then we also convert it to lightning damage, which is important because when we get a crit with the Whirlwind, it will then have a little thunderstorm come down, and then once we group up all the enemies, and if we get those crits, it's going to keep on activating, everyone gets hit by all of them. And then we have what's called lifelink on lasso, which is the third skill, the little rope that groups up all the enemies and creates a lifelink, which makes them all share a portion of the damage that they take. So that's how we're getting crazy DPS with this build. So again, the first skill, Whirlwind, you just hold it down. Second skill is just utilized to activate for our mana. If we run out of mana, we activate it, but you can activate it whenever. It doesn't really matter too much. It's not important. Once you get to a certain amount where maybe you get some mana on kill, you don't really need to activate it, but it's just there for specifically mana purposes. And then our third skill, which is lasso, you don't need to activate at all, but we have the ability to activate it on its own. It will automatically activate when we crit. It does have an internal cooldown on it. And then the two last skills are basically buffs, so they're like two little hands here. So the green one gives us life regen, but when I manually activate it, I have an item that will give me the ability to do a burn in AoE, which then ignites the enemies. And there's a little small item that we have that gives us damage reduction against burning enemies, but it's mainly used because we run a specific item that will actually give us the ability to get a huge amount of damage when we do Life Leech. In order for Life Leech to activate in this game, you actually have to be not at 100% health because you have to leech the life, right? So we do need to go ahead and do that. And then again, if you activate it, it will give you kind of basically like a big burst of HP because it's kind of like a potion there. It does have a long cooldown, and you don't really need to worry about activating it. It's just used for the Life Leech pretty much on the bosses, because the bosses sometimes have slow attacks, but they do big chunks of damage. But in order for that Life Leech to continuously have those 10 stacks for the big bonus and damage, it is kind of something that I really like to have. There's a double-edged sword with it. You don't want to drain too much HP, meaning that don't activate it if there are no enemies, because then you could actually rip. But you should have enough life regen eventually once you put points into the little green hands thing to make it okay. And then also the last skill over here just gives us a passive amount of crit, so it just gives us a bunch of crit. You're seeing all in the orange, that's all of the crit, and pretty much you're going to get near 100% crit once you get through with the build. Also wanted to mention, you can play this with just 2 skills while you are leveling. Like I tried it, and I actually was leveling up with this in the earlier stages. So if you're wanting for a beginner's build here, and you're starting out in the early stages of the game, you can complete the whole game with just those 2 skills of the little orange knives that give you the mana, and then you have the Whirlwind, because the rest of the skills they will unlock as you progress in the game, as well as having them automatically activate. But you can still comfortably farm the end game content, as far as the end of Act 1 over here, because you can see I still was on the process over here to explore and finish Act 2. And so I was leveling with just Whirlwind and another skill, so you could definitely just level up in the very beginning, just in case anyone wanted to use this as a level 1 starter guide, basically, because I don't know if I want to call it level, because you kind of reset all the time anyways, but you get the idea. It's just in the earlier game, you won't have some of the other skills, so you can literally just play Whirlwind. All you need to do is get the item that gives you basically Life Leech. You don't have to convert it to Lightning, because you can do Bleed if you want to, but the Lightning, I think, is just way better because we apply negative debuffs as far as the little orbs that we'll explain once we go into the build guide. But I wanted to mention, you can use this from the start, because I just played Whirlwind the whole time, and then I transitioned into the Lightning one because it's way better for DPS, and it has a little group up with the lasso, and it was fantastic. Anyways, I just got some requests for the build guide, so let's go ahead and go over the build guide now that you guys have seen some of the gameplay, and explain how the skills work. Let's go over first the skills, and then we'll go over the gear as well as the relics and the skill tree. So first off, as far as the skills go, we're going to be getting all the skill book points. And so how our skills work is we max out Whirlwind, aka double knives. So we get double knives here, and we get that one as level 7. Now it's important we keep reflexes at level 1, because as we increase the levels, it will increase the cooldown. So this is the only skill that we keep at level 1. Lasso has a crazy cooldown. We don't even worry with the cooldown. The internal cooldown does not actually activate when we have the automatic activation, which is activated via the Relic. And then we have Prayer of Health 7 and Prayer of Vengeance 7. So everything's max level except for we keep this at level 1. Because we need it for the mana and also the attack speed and movement speed. But as you upgrade these will have longer cooldown. But the thing is that you only really need to activate this on the bosses. And the reason why, you're just using it for that 11% life regen per second. And the thing that we want it for is specifically being able to burn into our HP because there's not a good manual way to do it. There's only like good kind of manual way to do it. And then we also activate Prayer of Vengeance, and this is going to give us a massive amount of crit. That's all it really does. And then as far as the relics go, because I think this is the next most important thing. So keep in mind, I might not have the perfect relics, but you know, it's kind of RNG. So this is why I play Prayer of Health. So there's a double-edged sword with this, but it's not too bad if you max out at level 7. So how it works is when we activate this, it burns into our HP, and then that is how we actually gain our lifesteal. Because lifesteal in this game, you have to actually hit the target when you are missing life in order for it to proc. You can't just proc it for free. So we run this specifically for that. And then we also play Save Your Shield. It's only a one little unique here. So what it gives you is the ignited enemies deal negative damage to you, so that's just good. But honestly, you could swap this one out. This one's not really required at all. And then this just gives us damage, it's just a stat stick here. And then this is just another stat stick, so melee damage, crit damage, it's all good. This is one of the most important things, so whenever you lifesteal, you gain Bloodshot, so it grants you 54% melee skill damage, which can give you 540% melee skill damage. It's basically up the whole time. We got a really lucky one and it has crit and physical resistance, which is amazing. So I max out the ring. We'll eventually max out most of these other ones. Then we have the Brawler large relic here that just gives us melee damage. Again, just a stat stick over here. And then this over here converts our knives damage into lightning damage, and then when we crit, it will then apply a little electric wave that deals 20% of the damage to nearby enemies. So when you group up enemies, you're just going to do this massive one-shot. It's the greatest thing ever with Lasso, and you don't even have to push Lasso, but if you want to, it's okay. And then this just this honestly is just here because it has lightning damage. That's it. This should 100% be replaced. As long as we get something that gives us some extra damage, and it's just, again, lightning damage is all I had. And then this is just for physical resistance, and then this over here, okay, so this is how we get our resources back, by the way. So Delicate Rosary, each knife that we use with this, and this is why we have it level 1, it's just used for mana regen. It just gives us infinite mana. And then this over here is a buff. So each knife that hits with our reflex skill is going to give us movement speed and melee attack speed. So it's just stat stick for just numbers. And then this over here is just giving us extra attack speed. That's all it's there. The physical bleed doesn't really matter here. And then this just gives us, again, more damage. And then this over here is a very, very big thing. So Bundle of Rope makes it so Lasso applies lifelink on the enemies, which means that any damage that they take, all the other enemies take it as well. I probably should upgrade this a lot, as this actually gets increased too with its like unique power. It's massive. And then over here, just another melee. Look at this, 73% damage, and then it gives us life. This is a very important one. We should probably get a better one, but all it gives us is double knives doesn't slow us down. So you have to have this. It drops in Act 1. For the build to function, you really just need this, as well as there's another banner that I'll go over in a second, but you don't need to play it because you can get a ring with lifesteal. But this is just crit multiplier. That's all this thing does. And it also gives life and mana. It just rolled really good. And then you want this. So if you crit, Lasso will automatically activate. So it's really, really big. This is just absolutely amazing. And then this is just crit multi and some mana regen. Nothing super important here. But there's another item that I think that is really important if you do not have a ring with Life Leech, because you don't get one of those until, I don't know, Act 2, 3 is where I got mine, but that's, you know, RNG. But there's another item you can get in Act 1 right here. Called the Banner of Faith. So double knives damage is converted to life, and you can roll up to 1.25 for that one. I actually think I have. I think I have a perfect one right here. But yeah, you can get this, and ideally you get crit damage. The one thing that's I've noticed it's much harder in the game is to get specifically resistances in the physical department. But as far as our gear goes, because we went over the relics, and don't really need to go over this because this part over here is usually just like whatever has most damage. Then this is really important. Lifesteal is good. And then I got one that has some base damage, but you can get one that has whatever stats. I get a bunch of resistances here. I don't really care too much about the evade stuff because I want to give myself as much like life leech as possible and just bounce back. But this is what I'm running. Nothing's super important to mention here, I feel like. But now let's go into the skill tree, or the, I don't know what it's called, the Great Bell. That's what we'll call it. So the most important things to get in the very beginning of the game, I just went for base damage, and then I rushed and grabbed all of these reliquaries. So there's one right here, there's one right here, and there's one right here. And then this doesn't unlock until Act 3, but get this one. And then also the other important thing is maximum skill rank. So the things that you want to prioritize are maximum skill ranks, and then also getting specifically the reliquary size. And if you didn't know, because I didn't know about this until a really long time, because if you read what this says, because the game is kind of confusing and it's brand new, it says increases maximum skill level. I didn't really understand what that meant. I thought that meant when you started upgrading, you can upgrade the skill more. But what it means is this whole thing opens up in the skill book and you just put more points into it. So if you get like, you get 6 points in total on the tree, and then you could get 6 points and put them into everyone. But like I said, max out everything except for reflexes, because if you put in a bunch of this has got a 30-second cooldown. And all you want this for, all this does, because you need this reliquary or relic in order for it to work, because each hit on the little knife gives you 7% of your maximum mana. But if you want to get some max mana, it's really not that bad at all. As far as it goes, yeah, this little skill tree. The only thing that I would say is like kind of optional here is like these banish things. It's kind of weak, to be honest. I don't really think it's that great. I would have put it more into life, but I could also respec. And then obviously we can upgrade some of these, like the small one over here where it says melee skill damage. This is a really great one because it gives us fizz res. So if I was to like try to give you guys suggestions on prioritizing what would I upgrade, 100% getting fizz res. And oh, also another thing, when you start getting your like when you get to pick your cards in the very beginning of the map, as well as when you level up, when you get more points into Prayer of Health, we will eventually get pretty close to max physical res. It doesn't show it here, but once this levels up, we get physical resistance per rank here, so that's how we're going to get a lot more. We also get critical strike chance per rank, and this gives us damage. But look at these. These are like another cool global buff that you can get, especially the physical resistance one. And if you're really hurting for fizz res, because again, in the very beginning, it's kind of rough, you could instead, you don't have to even put lasso here at all, because I don't really activate it, but the cards will never appear on lasso if you don't get it. But what you can get is this. This is like totally fine. And you will still get that lasso to activate on crit. And again, that's from this. I believe I got this from Act 2 at the start, where it starts activating. But yeah, and then the last thing that we have as far as like the build goes that we need to go over is the Constellation. So you don't really get that many points until you get like, I guess, to the Endgame. There really isn't anything super important to like grab that I would say is super far, because I'm not that far. I just beat the game myself, and some of you guys were like, what's the build? So as far as it goes, in the very beginning, you can get this thing over here where you get these orbs. So I think with this, okay, so when you spend a certain amount of mana, you get these little orbs that spin around. I don't really care too much about their damage. Their damage is cool because we do lightning damage anyways. That's why we convert it. So we get all the bonus and lightning damage here. And the most important thing is that we get light the darkness. So when we hit enemy with lightning, it reduces their lightning resistance by 2.5. So that's basically like 25 negative resistances. And then if lasso hits them, they receive another 10 stacks, an additional one. So that goes up to 20. So basically you have negative 50 lightning resistance, which is why I decided to go lightning over any of the other elements or physical. That's what I decided to go for. Oh, another important thing. I put 1 point into the 3 Marys because that gives us base crit of 7%. To not get too far into it, basically it's really good. It's actually 7% crit versus the other like crits that you get in the game. It's not base crit. I don't know what it scales off of. I think it's maybe the base of 5%. Basically, you get it. It's good. All right, and that wraps up the build guide. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here and you want to see more videos with hellclock, hit subscribe to the bell. And I'm having a blast with this game, so yeah, definitely more content very soon. But peace out, gamers.
Wow, handsome man. Just subscribe to Slaydra.